Hello, I'm Jacob, and this is the Prepper's Bunker Outdoors. Today's video is actually a video response to a comment made by Dave at Ultimate Survival Tips regarding my previous video, which was on his MSK1 survival knife. Now, to begin this video, I want people to understand why I do YouTube. When I got out of the military and was looking to get into survival and survival blade, I realized that there was a lot of misinformation out there, and that 90% of the information that people were regurgitating was based not on experience, but on marketing. So, dishonest marketing motivated me to start collecting knives, testing them, reviewing them, and then sharing my opinions on them. There was never a time where my goal became to review popular knives in hopes of getting paid by companies. So you'll never see me on this channel reviewing a few brands of knives which are crap in hopes of getting some help from the company, however that may happen. Now, my review of the Ultimate Survival Tips MSK1 was fairly critical, not only of the knife, but of Dave himself. And I'll put a link to that video right here. So what happened essentially is I did a review of this blade, and his comment was over 4 pages long. Luckily, I screenshotted it because, like I kind of felt he would, he deleted it, which I'm not happy about. So I had to take the time to type all of it, and I not only typed all of it, I kept all of the spelling errors, punctuation errors, all of that stuff in here, not because I care. I understand all that. It doesn't have anything to do with intelligence or anything else. I did it just to keep it as honest and complete as possible. If people want, I will make all of the screenshots publicly available. As it stands, all of this right here will be available in the description box below. And we start out with, you did quite a bit of character assassination here that I felt was inappropriate. It's sad, really, and not the way we as Christians should handle things. We will get to that a little bit later in the video. He addressed 4 main points that I made in my video about the steel, which is D2, its ability to chop, do fine tasks, and whatnot. From his comment, I have about 7 points that I want to make real quick. And I am going to try and keep this quick, even though I'm long-winded. Alright, so let's see. First off, Dave says, as far as D2 strength, I have not heard of any broken MSK1s, nor have I broken one. Okay. And then he states, come on, fingers, you can work even though it's cold. The one that I have is hollow ground. You must have a MSK1 from our first production run. The MSK1 was never intended to have a hollow grind. This was done by our now fired original company who did that part of the grinding process. No MSK1s beyond this original small batch are hollow ground. Alright. There's a lot of stuff here. And I'm not the most organized person, so this actually isn't easy for me. I wish I was a more organized person. And then, there will never be another hollow ground MSK1 made. I had to send all of mine out. Yada yada, blah blah. Okay, so, basically, he's never heard of one breaking, nor has he broken one. It was hollow ground, but no more MSK1s will be made hollow ground. Well, just so you know, Dave, this is a replacement MSK1 for my friend's that was broken. Like I said, I'm borrowing this knife. And he spoke to Dave directly about it, so I already knew that whole story about their hollow grinding and how they switched. Now, looking at original first batch MSK1, they were more hollow ground. But this blade, it might be difficult to see there. Yeah, it's hollow. This is not from the first batch. As far as I've seen, all current MSK1s are still hollow ground. Dave knows that the knife that was replaced by this one broke because he spoke to the person who broke it. So Dave is blatantly lying in support of his product. I understand defending yourself, but not blatantly lying. And that kind of goes to show a bit of the character that I was talking about in the last video, and it kind of gives some context to the rest of his response here. Don't lie to me. I mean, if I'm doing this video, I probably have some context. I've probably done my homework. I would give Dave the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe he doesn't know or didn't realize that they're hollow ground, because it is a little bit less prominent than a lot of hollow ground knives out there. But it is certainly and unquestionably hollow ground. And I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he lied about none of these having been broken and him not knowing anything about it in the first place, because he's the one who handled the warranty process and communicated with my buddy. So, don't be a liar. That's number one. And that gives the context to the rest of your entire crap here. Okay. So, and he was polite in this. At least he tried to be. It's not too bad. All right, so we're going to continue here. He says he consulted with Jeff Freeman on steel selection based on his very unique criteria. He did his due diligence, research, and testing. This is on his second point, D2 steel. He wanted a tough knife that retained its edge and returned easily to sharp in the field. Then he questioned my sharpening ability. As far as sharpening, did you happen to go to the MSK1 user guide where I show you how to return the MSK1's edge? If not, you should really check that out. It will help you. And let's see if there's anything else on this point in here. I don't believe there is. Guys, this video would go so much more smoothly right now if I could feel my hands. Nope. Okay. So, D2 steel. He says that he did his due diligence during research and testing. He wanted a tough knife that retained its edge and easily returned to sharp in the field, and questioned my ability to sharpen a knife. Well, Dave, the knife as I got it was stropped. The owner is better at sharpening than I am, and I'm pretty good at sharpening. It kind of seems to me like maybe we have different definitions of sharp. Now, I tried to continue sharpening this knife, and I feel I've gotten quite good at it recently. Knives are kind of my thing. And so sharp means it's going to be popping hairs off of my arm, ideally in a single stroke with zero resistance. Now, I will say that this knife, when I got it, was sharp enough to do those feather sticks quite easily that I did in the last video. This knife can return to a working sharpness for bushcrafty chores, but this is not a bushcraft knife. This is an ultimate survival knife, one tool option for the apocalypse. And having a knife that is sharp enough to do feather sticks, but it's not really slicing hairs off of your arm, is not a knife that's going to be nice to use when skinning and doing a lot of other tasks, especially if the edge is this thick, which is going to be hard to show on this camera here. But the thicker of an edge you have, the harder it is to slice stuff with it. It requires more skill. Now, I can do a feather stick left-handed with a 6-pound hewing axe. So I can certainly do feather sticks a long time with this. Is this field sharpenable? Absolutely not. 100%. If you say that you've used this for a year and all you need to do is strop it and touch it on ceramic sticks once, there's two options here. You don't know what sharp is, or you're lying. That's it. There's the only two options. So, yeah. As far as doing your due diligence, research and testing. If you did your due diligence, you did your research, and you did your testing, where are your prototypes of this knife in 12C27, 440B, AEBL, all of those steels which are incredibly easy to sharpen, stain resistant, and way tougher than D2? How come you only had 4 prototypes and never mentioned a prototype in a different steel? If you had doing your due diligence doesn't mean, oh, he said to use D2, so I used D2 and I tested it and I like it. No, it means that you make the same knife in all of the applicable steels and you test all of them, which it appears from your own words you certainly have not done. If you had done your due diligence, you would not be using D2. Maybe D2 is the only steel that this Freeman Knives group wanted to use, and they're the only ones who wanted to make your knife. Who knows? You certainly didn't do your due diligence. Not at all. Or you wouldn't have picked D2. To continue to the next point. I need to go faster here, guys. I'm going to explain all of this at the end here too, of course. All right. All right. Next. We talk about fine work. The branch face you see in the video was done by me with only an MSK1 in about an hour or so. It can work like a fine carving tool if you have some skills and keep it sharp. That branch that took you an hour to carve, while with part of your video looking like you're sitting on a park bench, took you an hour to carve? And you say that publicly? I'm in shock. Like, that would be something that I would not tell anybody. If we're talking about carving, at least do some sweet feather sticks and a tri-stick. I don't even know what it is that you were carving that took you an hour. That's the point I made in the last video. This is not fine carving. What? Anybody should look at, what are you doing? That's insanity. Now, the biggest reason that I'm doing this video, like I said, I started this because problems with marketing that were unrealistic. Okay. So in your response, you said I'd probably never use a hatchet for the size of the wood that I performed a test on. So you would never use a hatchet to chop through a piece of pine that's about 3 inches in diameter? Are you using like a Bear Grylls special hatchet? Does the MSK replace an axe? No, this was a mistaken comment I made on an interview after a long day at a show. My bad, but I would never carry an axe. So it would replace an axe for you. However, I do carry my silky saw for larger and various camp tasks, but in a pinch with only one tool. Can the MSK1 perform a wide variety of slicing, cutting, chopping, and batoning tasks? Yes. Okay. First off, it sounds like, as could be seen in that video, that you've never used a decent quality axe. So stop. I know that you mostly review, like, crap gear, and you probably get paid a lot to do it. But if you want to see whether or not your blade that you're going to say replaces an axe or a hatchet for you actually does when you're marketing that, maybe you should use a higher quality tool or learn to use it, because there is no hatchet task that the MSK replaces whatsoever. If it was your only tool, could you perform a wide variety of tasks? Yeah, you can do that with any knife, so why is it worth saying? I could perform a wide range of tasks with a Mora Companion that's $8 if it's the only tool that I have in the entire world, so I don't understand why that's worth saying except for to attract people who are ignorant of what they're looking at, which I'm afraid has been the case more often than not. All right, so we're about to wrap this part up here. And we're saving the best for last, of course, which is chopping. So, Jacob, I hope this all helps. I hope this also helps you with wanting to have more information in the future. I appreciate your passion. Just maybe next time consider not assigning, judging motives, or questioning character without seeking more information first. I'm not sure what your objective was in the video. My objective is to help new knife users who are on a tight budget not waste their money. Unlike your videos, which show off crap knives and encourage budget-minded people to go blow their cash on crap. That's how people make a lot of money. That's marketing. You make more money being a mega company selling crap than you do being a quality company selling a more expensive tool, probably at lower numbers because you can't sell to the hordes of ignorant people who have no idea what a quality knife is. The first step in helping them figure that out would be showing them quality knives and why that quality is important. That is why this YouTube exists, and that is why I reviewed your knife. I would hope that you, as a Christian, took personal responsibility for the message that you're putting out to people. Because instead of looking for ways to steal their money and put a couple bucks in your pocket, you should be looking for ways to help them, regardless of how small your channel stayed or how long you had to do it. I've got a passion for YouTube. That's why I do YouTube. I want to help people that haven't bought a knife. I hate doing negative reviews because I don't want to offend people who already made a bad decision. And I'm going to talk more about that in just a second. But there are so many people like who I used to be who have no idea about knives and get suckered into bullcrap marketing. And the marketing on the MSK1 is some of the least honest, highest grade bullcrap that I've ever seen in my life. You should be ashamed of yourself, period. All right. And for the chopping. For your test, I would have had the wood on the ground. This probably would have eliminated the vibrations you felt. It wasn't from the knife, but the knife can't stop vibrations from poor chopping or the material being chopped. Also, there appeared to be a difference at which you had to strike the limbs. It looked like the limb you were chopping was a bit higher, which may have affected performance. There's also a bit of wrist flick that leverages the MSK1 when chopping. You almost had it, bro. All right, I think, first off, the results from the test were so vastly different that I did not feel that it was necessary to really control the test. And I even said to myself, like, look, this isn't ideal. But it's kind of like comparing on a racetrack a Ferrari to a Honda Civic. Are you really going to complain that they're not both on racetrack tires when the Ferrari does 5 laps and the speed and time of the Civic's 1? No, it's retarded because the performance difference is this freaking big. But what I will do now, gladly, is I will take the MSK1, I will control all variables, I will do multiple tests or iterations, getting average performance from each knife and a single hatchet. We'll do a process of elimination, and we'll look at exactly how the MSK1 chops in a controlled environment. Then we won't be able to complain about something so silly as whether or not the branch is up in the air. Which, by the way, like Ultimate Survival Apocalypse, this is the only tool you have. Is everything that you're going to chop going to be ideal? No. No, it's not going to be a nice little backyard bushcraft trip. It's going to really suck. You mentioned in your video that using an axe when you're wet, cold, tired, hungry could be dangerous. There's nothing more dangerous than using the wrong tool for the job. So if you need to be using an axe to make notches, to make a cabin for a permanent hard shelter, and you're trying to use a knife, you're wasting your life. It's the dumbest comment in the world. It's just ignorant. Just ignorant in general. Alright, so guys, sorry that took 20 minutes to get out of the way. I really wish that would have taken about 5. But now let's give this context. Why would Dave at Ultimate Survival Tips choose D2 if it is the weakest actual knife steel? For all the people commenting like, oh, it's not the worst, it's better than the Pakistani Damascus and no-name Chinese stainless. Okay, no-name steels are not what we're talking about here. We're talking about steels that are actually heat-treated halfway decently, that we know what they actually are. Okay, so that's the dumbest comment that you could make. D2 is the weakest or most brittle knife steel that you could possibly choose for a survival knife, outside of some super steels, which are made only for pocket folders and are super brittle, like, who knows, M4 or something that most viewers have never really heard of. It's the weakest steel you can choose that's common. Why would you choose that? Well, let's think. Before I started doing knife videos, and before I understood anything about knives, what did I know about knife steels? 1095, freaking D2, stainless, and Damascus. That's what people know and understand. Sometimes 01 also. That's what people know and understand. That's what sells, because the average knife buyer is not the knife enthusiast, and they're going to buy whatever Dave or whoever else that they trust from Ultimate Survival, whatever YouTube channel you're talking about, tells them is a good knife. They'll have no context. They'll never know if the knife they buy sucks, because they probably won't use it. If they do use it, they'll only have basically nothing to compare it to. You don't know what you don't know until you do. So if you think the best knife in the entire planet is that flea market piece of junk, and you think it's tough even though you broke it doing nothing because you've never seen anything tougher, then to you that's the toughest knife in the whole world. Kind of like your, I'm not familiar with knives over 1/4 inch thick, so my comment still stands. How does your comment still stand because what you don't know? Are you choosing to be ignorant? Yeah, 1/4 inch, not one of the thickest knives in production. That's just so stupid. But why does K-Bar take 170-6C Sheridan and call it 1095 Crovan? Because it's very similar to 1095 with some chromium and some vanadium, and 1095, the name, is well instantly known from people who know nothing and will sell. Why do expensive manufacturers still make D2 knives? Because it sells. 01, because it sells. And then they know, some of them think Damascus, now flooded from Pakistan, is good quality stuff too. It's because of brutal ignorance. That's not always their fault. Lots of people don't have time to spend in knives like I do, learning things the hard way. That's why I do YouTube. And I would hope that's why other people do YouTube too. Clearly not the case. A lot of people are here to make $200,000 on Kickstarter. Who knows? So that's why people choose D2. Guaranteed. It's why people, and now 1095 is a great steel. I stopped liking it so much with a couple other experiences, and then I did that SE Hunglis 2 destruction video. Man, that Rowan heat treat is on the money. So yeah, 1095 certainly done well. It is great. 01 can be great. There's so many steels out there, guys. But the average person knows 1095 and stainless and maybe Damascus and maybe D2. And D2 still has this stupid reputation from the 80s. Okay, and let's wrap this up. This knife is completely, clearly, to anybody who can feel it or look into a higher production quality camera than mine, can see that it's hollow ground. Why would you say that you don't like hollow ground knives, then do a production run that ends up being hollow ground, let people continue using those knives and being like, if they break, I'll replace it, and then continue making knives that are just a little bit less hollow ground? Because hollow ground knives are cheap to make. When you've got your grinder belt, if you grind this on the wheel, you remove more material faster because you have more of your belt in a smaller surface area. It gnaws away at this faster than you do if you have it on a perfectly flat belt with the guide behind a platinum or whatever. It removes material faster, so you can make way more knives. It's way cheaper because ultimately, the hardest thing about making a knife is the time. People are complaining that this is a $280 knife. It has to be a $280 knife. It doesn't matter if this is made out of 1095 or 1070 or vehicle leaf springs. None of that matters. It has to be a $280 knife because making knives is expensive. I've co-owned 2 knife companies now. The second that my eyes were opened to the production costs of a small shop making knives, I can't believe that Ka-Bar and Essie sell knives so cheaply. Honestly, I really can't. It's phenomenal. It's great, and the quality they put out's just great. Now, can some mega factory filled with a bunch of slave workers sell cheaper because they're paying their workers nothing? They're making 10 billion knives at a time. 90% of those knives will always sit on a shelf and never be used. Out of the 10% that are used, if 8% of them break, of course they'll replace them. Why would they care? They're selling 10 billion knives a year. Yeah, they can get the cost down. It's amazing what you can do with slave labor and communism. It's not good for the people. It's not good for the economy unless you're the mega rich business. I'm sorry, in communism, the mega rich state. Anyways, man, guys. I am here on YouTube because I want to help the people who can't spend the time with knives that I do. And I can only spend the time with knives that I do because I love doing this. I turned off all of my monetization. I don't care how many views I get on my videos. I don't care how many people really subscribe. I'd like you to subscribe. I want to help more and more people, but that's not why I'm doing this. I'm not racking up subscribers to make a whole bunch of cash. I make a 6-figure salary doing YouTube every year. That's 6 zeros. Nada. Not jack. So I'm doing this because I love doing this and I hate buyer's remorse. And I want to help other good people not have to have buyer's remorse. That's why in the end of my last video when I reviewed this knife, I talked about the bushcraft community standing up for each other. But if the bushcraft community stands up for each other and it doesn't call out the wolves that are feeding on their own community, what good are they doing? The bushcraft community has to stand together, support good business, and get rid of this marketing bullcrap of people who are trying to steal their hard-earned dollars. So the last thing I want to talk about is the first thing that he said here. It was not very Christian of me to talk about him personally in this event. Well, Dave, what should a Christian do in a situation like this? When someone is lying, it might be fluff for a car, but when it's for an ultimate survival knife and you're talking about the things that it can do and it can't, it's lying. When someone is lying to steal other people's money, what's a guy supposed to do? Am I supposed to be like every other YouTube channel and contact you and be like, hey man, I know you have 500,000 subscribers, but I've got these issues and you think you can help me with this? Like, no, that's the problem with the YouTube community now. The problem is nobody's willing to call anybody out and tell the truth because they want a bunch of positive reviews, because they want business relationships with people that down the road are going to get them subscribers and money. Well, I want to do mostly positive reviews. I'm mostly just going to review things that I like. But you know what? If I work with companies, it's only going to be companies that can handle the truth. I broke the Essie Hungles too. Essie said, run with it, dude. Keep beating on it. Tools break. If you make knives, I don't care if you sell $10,000 knives, tools will break. There's no shame in admitting it. Sorry, dude. It broke. Manufacturing defect. Someone's finger touched that knife. Therefore, there is a high possibility that something got jacked up. It happens. In every market, in every nation of manufacture, everywhere. But how does the person stand behind their product? How does the company stand behind their product? Well, if they stand behind it by denying the failures that they've had, acting like there's never been an issue, and upholding some fantasy of a blade, in a company I'm going to work with. Oh, to get back to one last thing. He talked about all of the positive reviews and other bull crap that he got. I'm touched on you only know what you know until you don't know it. When someone spends $280 on a knife because they've been watching your YouTube reviews on bullcrap China knives or bullcrap Walmart knives, they come to trust you, and then they work hard to buy a high-quality knife and spend $280. In their mind's eye, that's already the best knife on the planet, and the only thing they have to compare it to is the crappy knives that you've been feeding to them. No wonder they don't say anything bad about it. Everybody justifies their purchases. This YouTube, this whole problem, all of this is about education. This is about truth, honesty, and integrity. And I'm ashamed to say, and I'm sad to say, that it appears to be something that Dave at Ultimate Survival Tips lacks. So, because he doubts my skills and abilities, ability to chop and ability to do a test, we'll be doing another video with this knife. We'll be comparing it to the Council Tool hatchet that I showed previously. Dark Timber Kodiak, which is actually priced pretty close to this MSK1, shockingly somehow. Ontario SP5, which is $50, and a Becker BK4. All three of those knives are within like an ounce or less of the weight of the MSK1. Less than an ounce. They're like, the MSK1's like 15.5 ounces. The SP5 is lighter. It's like 15.2. The Kodiak, I think, is like 15.6. Yeah. We'll see if chops like a hatchet, and all these people that were so excited at SHOT Show to be in your video and were so surprised at how light the knife is for size handles compared to the MSK1. Everybody watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down, let me know what you think in the comments section below. Hate me, love me, share this video with your friends, do whatever you want to do. I hope that you have a blessed day.